I just found this guy's channel and I'm really looking forward to doing a reaction to it. And I like it so far. Everything I've seen on the channel, I like. He's an Indian Canadian. And look at the title here. It says it's not about racism, it's about replacing Canadians. So I already like the title. Now he's reacting to another video, and I want to react to his reaction. So let's just see. I think this is going to be really interesting. So stick around. Let's see what he says here. Watch this.
Interestingly enough, I always thought that the left and the right would actually both see this as an issue that needs to be addressed. And I do think that both do see this as an issue. But
He's talking about the temporary foreign workers
I
program.
find that the left, the way in which they're coming about this is, and I say the left broadly, obviously, not everybody on the left thinks this, but they may be coming at this with the wrong framing. And a friend of mine forwarded me this video. I want to share it with you and then we'll discuss because the way in which the situation is described is really interesting. So let me hit play on this and then we'll come back and chat. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can share my screen. Here we go. Oh, it's working. It's working.
Canadians love to complain about Tim Hortons. Their mediocre coffee, weird new menu items that nobody asked for,
If you eat potato wedges from Tim Hortons, we can't be friends.
or apparently the brown people who work there. If you scroll through social media these days, there's racist memes, AI slop, and offensive merch. Tim Hortons has always been a symbol of Canadian national identity. And today, it's become a battleground, with right-wing forces turning migrant workers into scapegoats, blaming them for problems others have created. How did this happen? And how do we make it stop?
Okay, so a very compelling entrance from Katya at I don't know the name of this channel, at the breach. But there's a couple things that myself in many like social media encounters. There is this sense of like go back home, go back to your country, go back to where you came from. 100% there is that sentiment. But it's much more nuanced than what Katya may suggest. I also don't like it when left, and I've noticed this on the left as well, they say, well, this is right-wing commentators saying this. It's not right-wing commentators. It's many Canadians, I would argue, from all sides of the political spectrum that are noticing this and are also very concerned about the issues that this brings with it. And I do think that this is often what we see on the left. It's it's right-wing extremism. It's right-wing fascism. It's right-wing racism. When really it's a far deeper issue because as I've discussed, there are agents in India that are getting young people to come to Canada on false promises. There's all types of shady business practices.
See, what I love is he is an Indian brown Canadian who's pushing back against this crap. It's like, this is what we need. Like, I absolutely love this. So I know a lot of foreigners who think the way he is generally, where he'd watch that kind of thing, these, I would call it a woke perspective, blaming everything on quote unquote far right. But he's also a Canadian. And he's saying, hey, it's more nuanced than that. It's not just, hey, go back to your country. There's a little bit of that, but it's, a lot of Canadians are having, you can't just say, oh, it's far right. So anyway, I'll let him continue.
Practices where they have jobs lined up, and there are real concerns with that. I just want to keep it playing for 1 second, and then we'll get into more analysis from what I'm seeing from Katya on this topic. Let's go.
The stereotype of the international Tim's worker found its footing where many modern moral panics do, the internet.
Tim Hortons or Sing Hortons?
Taj Mahal.
My cousins came here and they first took over Canada, and now they took over Tim Hortons, and like honestly, like want to make Tim Hortons white again.
So before I continue, she said that it's like this moral, like ground, and the internet's made this kind of like statement about what's going on. And remember, the framing here is very important. Immediately, she's thinking about this through a race lens, pointing to what people are saying on the internet. But that race lens actually isn't correct, or the correct framing that we need to use when it comes to this issue, because it's far more than race. We're talking again about established systems that are in place in India, specifically because they have a high youth population boom going on. And remember, it's in specific provinces. I did a video about the Punjab region sending the majority of temporary foreign workers to Canada. So, by framing this as race does a disservice to the system that's set up specifically for Indian youth to come to Canada. And also, again, Indian youth from specific regions, not all regions of India, have this opportunity. Also, she's not talking specifically about, again, like I said, the systems. Canadian colleges are marketing themselves in these regions in India as well. So you can't have this influx of temporary foreign workers all hired in periphery jobs like Tim Hortons, like food delivery services, and not have Canadians, not just white Canadians, but Canadians, myself included, recognize that an entire demographic shift is happening.
This is what we need to see. He's calling himself a Canadian, which of course he is. It doesn't just mean when people are talking about Canadians, they mean people that for the most part grew up here, act like Canadians, and that's a broad way. There's a lot of ways you could be, but he is obviously a Canadian. Anybody who thinks he isn't is a terrible person, but that's pretty minimal, and that's why he's not out there complaining about this every moment. But anyway, I'll let him continue.
Right before our eyes. Okay, let me continue playing this so that we can keep kind of analyzing a little bit more of what Katya is saying.
These clips disparage my employees for everything from supposed store and cleanliness, the quality of the food.
Hey Canada, has anyone else ever noticed at Tim Hortons that their quality is largely slipping due to this immigration?
To workers' accents.
Good morning to you, sir. Happy New Year.
On one level, this content demonstrates an ugly, lazy racism.
Okay, I'm just going to pause there again. This is where I kind of see her point. So there was a clip she shared right there of someone saying that the quality of Tim Hortons products have gone down, and it's due to this wave of Indian immigrants coming in and taking the jobs. That's not the case. Tim Hortons' quality has been deteriorating well before this started. And I think it's largely because Tim Hortons is part of a company called Restaurant Brands International. Restaurant Brands International was picked up by Bill Ackman's hedge fund. I can't remember when, but it was a few years back. You might have heard of this. Now, when a company's picked up by a hedge fund, they're to show pretty massive revenues and profits because they have to show that to their hedge fund purchasers, right? These are people with large levels of wealth. So it could be that the quality has gone down because they need to show higher profit margins. I don't know. I'm kind of different minds of this, but I understand that when you're part of a hedge fund, your sole goal is now to show double-digit profits.
I would say this. He's making a very solid and strong case that this could be largely or even all due to a hedge fund picking it up. So I agree with that reasoning there. But, is it? And also, I would not go make a video and just say, "Oh, Tim Hortons, the quality is going down because of immigration from India." I wouldn't be quite as quick though to just say it's all the hedge fund thing. I mean, who knows? I made a video before about different food safety things from other cultures. Like the standards were just ridiculous, not even close to what anyone who grew up here would do, like putting meat carcasses in the back. This wasn't India, but just because it was picked up by a hedge fund doesn't mean that it's impossible that people from really poor regions of a certain place, doesn't have to be India, that culturally it couldn't be food standards. The food standards could be worse. So I don't need to make a big deal about it. It's certain, I agree, it doesn't prove it, but I'm just open-minded to the truth. If that's the truth, I don't know.
And so one way to...
And I just point out, if it is the truth that it's a food standard thing, that needs to be, I guess, politely but strongly pointed out and saying, hey, we need to work with, X community here and make sure that they're up to the level of what we expect.
Shave off your costs on salary could be hiring temporary foreign workers and paying them under the table, but also your time and effort in the products and the quality of the products probably also goes down. I remember reading somewhere that Tim Hortons no longer bakes the donuts in the actual stores. They're just all frozen and they just reheat them. I mean, that's maybe I'm like I have high standards, I guess, but that I don't know. I feel kind of like I don't know if I want a frozen donut that's heated up. But then again, I mean, like you go to a Burger King or a Harvey's, like they're doing the same thing with your burger. They're just reheating it. Maybe not Harvey's, but I don't know. I just find that it's like like I'm at this complex. I have this complex when it comes to Tim Hortons. Like maybe my expectations from them are higher because I remember Tim Hortons when I was a kid, and like the smell of the donuts were just like intoxicating, and it was such a treat when we had it as a kid, like the rare times we did have them because they weren't everywhere in our community. So, you know, I agree with her. I do think people tend to think the quality has gone down because of Indian migrants. It's gone down because Tim Hortons is part of a hedge fund, and I assume that their owners are trying to trim costs literally any way they can, anywhere they can. And we'll get into what she shows later in this video, but it is quite interesting. All right, let's keep it going.
That peddles cruel stereotypes meant to put down South Asian people and strip them of their humanity. But there's a second, more structural level of racism at play. These posts suggest that racialized migrants are an economic threat to white working class Canadians, especially young people.
If you wonder why your kids can't get jobs at Tim Hortons,
I've actually seen the applications where it says you must speak Punjabi.
Sure, my name's Bobby. Just wondering if you guys are hiring right now. Good old Canadian kid.
When people say good old Canadian kid, I'm pretty sure they're not talking about black and brown kids.
See, this is again, I disagree with her completely because I've done this. I encourage all people of color who are Canadian citizens to go out and try applying to Tim Hortons. You're not going to get a call back. You're not even going to get like someone with multiple degrees. You won't get a call back. This is not about, being a white kid from Caledon, Ontario. This is about every one of us as Canadian citizens. I went to multiple Tim Hortons. I went to multiple fast food restaurants. I bike in the city and I was in my full bike gear and I handed them my resume. I have 2 degrees, folks. 2 degrees. I didn't get a call back from anyone. I even went online and I wanted to be like, the guys, or the people at Raptors games that like shoot out t-shirts and stuff like that. I'm like, let me throw my resume. Didn't even get a call back for that. I mean, it is tough out there if you want to actually find a job, let alone find a job in the fast food space. I didn't.
So I'll just leave it there, but like, check it out. I love this because he's saying, listen, you can't just say when they say talking about Canadians, everybody's talking about whites all the time. No, they're not. So he's pointing out the difference between like no standards, brand new immigrants flooding Canada, and like people notice that, and that doesn't make them racist. It doesn't make them terrible to notice that. I count this guy's 100% Canadian like myself, and he's noticing the same things everybody else is. We just want a better country. Now, I will point out one thing though. I did scroll down, and I'm happy with his response. Like, so he got a few comments here. Like someone wrote, "Chill, bro, you ain't white." Okay, and then what did he write there? Someone said, "One can always pretend." He said, "Remember to subscribe up." So he just kind of ignores it, which I think is the right thing to do. Now, how much does that represent Canada? This "chill, bro, you ain't white." My thinking is it's pretty small. It's annoying. Like maybe it's growing, but like you can imagine some young kid kind of in their basement just sort of angrily, haha, this is a funny thing to type. I don't think people are experiencing that like in their own life. I don't think that many, it's really not normal, even amongst white people. Like you don't joke about like hating people from other races. I've never really been around that. So if you see that, instead of blowing it out of proportion, you just say like, oh, there's some like trash behavior from some. And I'm really glad that he's not letting that get to him because he's living in Toronto. He knows like most people, including white people, don't think like that, don't treat him like garbage. And I think that's, great. The type of videos he's making. Hopefully I'll make some more reactions to some of the stuff he does. But I think we need more people like him, not just Indian, but from all over to speak up, tell the truth, have a nuanced discussion about things without the hate and not just like demonize everybody as being from the far right who are just noticing the same stuff everybody else is and want like you know, kind of how when we grew up, like the 80s and 90s level of people, for the most part, liked immigration. They liked how everything was. We had a point system, and it was just like higher level all around. And that's basically my thought. So keep it going, man. I think you're doing a great job. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment. Love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next one.